Hey folks, today just a quick video. We got the changelog for the Coronations DLC that's coming to Crusader Kings 3 next week. This is patch 1.17 Ascendant, the content that is coming as part of the DLC, the free content, and then also the bug fixes as well. This isn't live yet, as they say here. This is live on September the 9th. They're going to start here by just showing us some art from the DLC. There's just two pictures. They're very nice, but we have seen them before. But you can see those on the screen now as well, the different kinds of coronations you can do. A standard coronation, and then when you get the Head of Faith to crown you instead. And then next we're going to go over the patch notes for this DLC. The first part here is all the paid content. We're not going to go over everything that's here. I did recently do a video breaking down exactly how all this content works. You can find that on the channel. I'll leave a link to it in the description down below as well if you are interested in seeing. So I have highlighted some of the more important changes here. So I added game rules for coronations. One, making them optional by turning off crown laws. Another will allow you to rank up an emperor without losing your crown. So I guess in this system, if you go from a king to an emperor, you lose your crown and you have to get re-crowned again. I kind of presumed you just have your old crown and then you could get re-crowned with a fancier crown. That's saying crown a lot in one sentence, but that's kind of how I thought this would work. I guess you lose it and then you have to get re-coronated again afterwards. Hopefully by the Pope if you can do that. So that is an interesting change that they didn't really call out in the previous dev diaries. Uncrowned kings and emperors and their spouses will not wear crowns. Pretty obvious, but just calling that out there for you. Added coronation tradition doctrines to face, determining whether they have the anointment required for emperors. Anointed permitted or no anointment. This is the special version as it says, where the Head of Faith will crown you. Or ultimately you can say, come crown me. And then as he's going to put the crown on, you pull a Napoleon and actually just crown yourself instead. You can do that in this DLC. The next thing I'm going to highlight is provide coronation artifacts, crown or regalia through multiple avenues on game start from free inspirations. All these are going to be on a regular pulse for the AI as well as players. So this is how we thought this would work. If you don't have a crown, if you do need to be crowned, you'll get an event and that will give you a crown or a very cheap version of it. It's not going to be that fancy, and then you can invest in a nice one if you do wish to do so. The next thing I've highlighted is all the events. This was something we were worried about, I guess. After going through the court DLC and there not being many events, it seems like there's even less events since they did that revamp. We were wondering how many events are there going to be for coronations. And as you can see here, there's 44 events for the host in the prelude before you get crowned. There's 19 guest events, and then after you've been crowned, when you have the feast, there's 28 host ones and 18 guest ones as well. So quite a lot of these here. I will say as well, you're not going to be crowned all the time in your campaigns. Obviously, for most players, you're only going to be crowned once. So you're not going to be doing this every 5 years like you have to do with your court. So you're not even going to encounter these as often. In some campaigns, you might even only be crowned like once or twice in your entire campaign. So it does look like these aren't going to be as repetitive as some of the court ones. Hopefully in the future, we do get more court events. And also for this one, this is very European focused. They talked about that when it was announced. Hopefully in the future, we get more content around the world. I'm sure some mods will do it, but it would be cool to get more official events around the world, different faiths, different cultures, and how they play out as well. The next thing I've covered is events include content for Christians, admin, clans, nobles, tribals, and confederations. So again, there are a few for these different ones, but most of it is focused on Christians and the Europeans. But as I said, there's a small amount of content for the other ones as well. You can obviously do this anywhere in the world. It's just that the main content itself is aimed towards like Christian Europe and things like that. The next thing I'm going to cover is added 16 oaths with bespoke rewards and fulfillment conditions. Again, if you've not watched my previous video giving you all the information about how this works, there are these oaths that you swear at the beginning of your reign when you are crowned and you say you're going to do something like, I'm going to expand the realm, I'm going to invest into the infrastructure of the realm, I'm going to do all these different things, and then you get rewards based on if you do those. And if you don't do them, your realm will be unhappy with you because you've said like, I'm so great, I'm going to expand the borders into these different areas. And then if you don't do that, they're obviously not as happy with you. So anyway, these look really cool. There are 16 of them. That is more than I thought we get. I think in the dev diary, they mentioned like 5 to 8 of them. I can't remember, but we did cover a few of those in that video. The next thing is new oath-based building lines and new oath-based cultural traditions as well. So that's some cool extra content. They didn't really talk about this in that dev diary either. I think they showed one of the buildings, so I guess we'll see what else they are on Tuesday when this DLC comes out. And then the last thing from the paid DLC, the AI behavior adjustments, so they will host a coronation as soon as possible while they are uncrowned. This was something we kind of joked about. It would be funny if the computer never did this and you just see all these kings and things without crowns on them, but it looks like they are going to force them into doing it pretty much. within a certain amount of time once they do take over. The next thing they're going to cover is the game content. So they've added a new bow inspiration type and added bows to the weapon options for the commission artifact decision, just so we get some nice variation there with some of the weapons that you can get. They've added 4 random yearly events about being a counselor. That is pretty cool because there aren't really that many events as a counselor, and these are 4 free ones. It would be nice to get more than 4, but anyway, it is more than the 0 we thought we would get. Underage kings and emperors over 12 years old will now wear crowns. So you will have this now where you're under regency, but you are still seen as the king, I suppose. New camera angles for event characters, so I guess we're going to get some more dynamic poses for things. 8 new feast events, I guess kind of borrowing some events from those previous ones announced. And then the last bit of the dev diary is around bug fixes. Again, I'm not going to read all of these. Let me know if I've missed one that's important, but I have highlighted a few for us to talk about. The first one is amazing. They finally fixed this. Added a cooldown check for activities, so they are now moved to the right list when they are unavailable and tell you how long it will be until they are available again when you hover over them. This is something I always complain about if you come for the live streams. This always catches me out where if you do an event that has a 5-year cooldown, you can then click back into it before that 5 years expires. You can set it all up, and then when you go to press go, it's like, oh, you can't do this for like 3 more years. And I always say, like, why does it even let me press the button then if I can't do this? I always presumed it was so you could see how much it would cost and things like that. But yes, it was a bug, I suppose, or just a gameplay change here. I do like this one because I'm terrible for remembering which ones I've done, and then I get all the way into it, and then I've kind of wasted my time. I'm sure many of you are much smarter than me and don't do that, but this is a good one for me at least. The next one is fixed an issue with mass ransoming, where you will get all the characters' money instead of a fixed amount, which I hadn't noticed, but I guess we will notice that when we play, and you get a little bit less money when you are ransoming a whole bunch of people. I wonder if this is because, obviously, if they're from the same house, sometimes they would run out of money, so they couldn't pay you. I wonder when you press mass ransom, it didn't take that into account, and it just gave you the full amount that you could. I guess so. Anyway, that is a change there. And with that, guys, that is the end of the patch notes. A very small patch notes. It is an event pack. I kind of presume we get more bug fixes because it has been a while since we've had a patch, with obviously the gap between the last DLC and this one. But I guess they're saving that up for All Under Heaven, and maybe we'll get some information around that. Probably not next week as the DLC is out. Maybe the week after we'll get a release date for All Under Heaven. It would be nice to know when that is coming out. Put your guesses in the comments down below, I guess. And also let me know, are you picking up this DLC? It's not too expensive. I think for the US it's like $5. I'm sure many of you probably bought the Chapter Pass and are going to get this anyway. If you buy the Chapter Pass, you pretty much get this free, so that's why I always pick it up anyway. I play it on the channel, I cover it on the channel, so why not? So let me know if you're going to pick this up. Who's going to be your first campaign? Are you going to be crowned? Are you going to wait to be an emperor, get crowned by the Pope or something like that? Or are you going to crown yourself even? We might try do that on Tuesday's live stream. We'll see what we get up to in that one. But we'll leave it there for today. Hit that like button if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I cover all the news around Crusader Kings, all the dev diaries leading up to All Under Heaven. And then before too long, I'll be doing my end of year reviews of things and what we think might come next year, all that kind of stuff. So do subscribe. And then also I am covering EU5 in a very similar manner. So if you're interested in the next era of history with Paradox Gaming, do subscribe to the channel for that and watch my videos. But we'll leave it there for today, and I'll see you all next time.